Well, thank you, Larry. Thanks, Al. And I should say the movie's already given my first few slides. So, yes, thank you, Roger, for the introduction, and it's providing me some very good entertainment for the last 20 days. So, I love to just, I got a bit of a rasping throat, so I'll do the best I can with my voice. I know over a little bit of background and to put this in context. I'm then going to talk a little bit about something called the Lake Superior Regulation Plan and its lake balancing algorithm and its effectiveness. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Environment Canada's east and water level connections. Very important point is that we managed to get the International Commission, the IBC, to issue advice to governments in 2013, or make sure that we understand that. And if I confuse you with it, I want to just tell you ultimate thought. What this is all about, from our perspective, is to somehow dissuade our delinquent allegiances, but we can somehow finally compensate the St. Clair River or the passive dredging and erosion that has occurred over the last century, so that we can face future low water levels like a little bit more confidence than the present we got. That is the ultimate one of them, what I wanted to trust to you about today. So just a little bit of background. Since 1865, the St. Clair River, so just to make sure we're on this back, the St. Clair River empties Lake Huron and Lake Michigan and Huron are in Region 1 lakes, so Lake Michigan and Huron are empty from the St. Clair River. It goes into the St. Clair, Lake St. Clair, and goes into the Daly, which goes to Niagara Falls too. So they started mining it for sand and gravel to build roads in 1865 or so. And then they decided to dredge for navigation, initially for a 16-foot channel. So obviously the river was in places shallower than 16 feet. And then we got up to 20 feet. I got to 25 feet. And then we got to navigation bridging for 27 feet. It was a so-called sealed project to 1962. That's what's been going on. And all of that was done without providing any compensation, with the full knowledge that when you dredge or expand the conveyance capacity of a river or stream, the upstream lane which supplied that water, the lower the water levels were below it. How about that? That's fully known. Nothing was done, even though there were several attempts to start doing it, but it says, oh no, nothing happened. But on the day one of the studies, the most important in all of it was the 1993 IJC water working study. And that study, it's 1,800 pages of written law. They did two important things in finding crisis water lines, both high and low, terribly great, and also define what hydraulic measures should be put in place to address different crisis conditions. So then we get to I don't know. So something massive there. I'm saying strip for her. So then we get to 20 years ago, and Mary's invitation to help use some hydraulic modeling. They led initial phase of doing modeling. We said something's really funny about the St. Clair River. We can't explain what's happening, but that's how we got to Matei, Rob Mary, and Barrett and Associates. And the resulting day before it was presented in 2005 in Burlington, Ontario, to all of the government agencies. And I can tell you that we had probably 60 people in the room. What government agencies? Well, first of all, the IJC, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, NOAA, the National Ocean Development Agency, USGS, the list is long. How all of these agencies interact with each other, and also our governments. The Department of External Affairs gets involved in the fight. The U.S. External Foreign Affairs, but in the U.S. it's a state department. They think our partisans. Can you imagine all of those open agencies having to chat together to make purchases? They look to know all there. And as a result of that meeting, the IGDC said, folks, do we want to study this and prove that this is right or wrong? And so the Bed report basically initiated what became known as the IGC's International Upgrade Study. Should cost us taxpayers $17 billion. And the study concluded that yes, indeed, the worst additional pollution in the St. Clair River had ever occurred, so what their report was correct. However, the recommendations of the study was that nothing should be done in the St. Clair River. And the study chair of that particular study said to Mary at one meeting, nothing will happen in the St. Clair River in my lifetime. He's still alive, I think, right? As far as who knows, as far as we know, it's not. Now, the study also went on to do some other things. They redesigned the Lake Superior regulation plan to include something called lake balancing. Okay, so the amount of water that comes on Lake Superior has to be considered to look at the water levels. They also recommended that the U.S. Army Corps Detroit office should do annual bathymetric studies of the St. Clair River and to also account for any erosions which may be occurring below. To the best of our knowledge, the U.S. Army Corps, the new Detroit office, in spite of trying to do so, has not produced any acceptable adequate data so far. And that is as of this year.
Your slide jumped ahead. Yeah,
you jumped ahead. What did I think?
You didn't dictate.
That's a fair. Hopefully. So we've just been through a mini period of extreme high water levels. And the USGS has installed a flow measuring device in the St. Clair River, so we can go online and actually look at the flow in the St. Clair River. And we set a new record. Typically, the average flow of the St. Clair River is something like 5,300 cubic meters per second. You set a new record, 7,340. And we have had 2 ice jams in the last 2 years, and preliminary analysis of those ice jams indicates all believe there was some additional erosion which occurred. We can't prove it, that looks that way. So I think I'm now. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this. This is not the most important topic, but it's part of the agenda. The question of Lake Superior regulation and lake balancing. So going back as far as the mid-70s, the IGC has been playing around ways of trying to balance the water levels in the Superior and Michigan-Huron. You can see this graph on the left-hand side. Okay, this Lake Superior is higher. and Michigan-Huron is not high. Well, why don't we release more water? Then severe down, and it had about the Michigan-Huron. On the other hand, if Superior is not highish, but Michigan-Huron is, we release less water. How is it adjust this? Well, based on standing deviations of the deviation of the water pumping water level from the long-term average. So just to put things in perspective, Lake Superior has a drainage of a little over a meter. Water level range, 3.8 feet. The standard deviation is 0.2 meters, 8 inches. It is. Lake Michigan-Huron grows have a range of almost 2 meters, 6.3 feet. And the standard deviation is 0.4 meters, or 16 inches. So the IEC idea of balancing is, why don't we keep the standard deviations kind of the same? So if we have one standard deviation to Superior, one standard deviation for Michigan, that should be good, right? Well, that means that we're going to allow the deviation of Lake Michigan-Huron to be double that of the deviation of Superior in its values. And that's must be. So let's take a look at the data. Now, I tried in 2012, the was called 2012, it was actually put into effect in 2015. So, in 2015, we were just starting this last period that's clear with high confidence. All levels will be increasing. They peaked in 2020. So when they peaked in 2020, Michigan-Huron, which is the brown grass, the brownish grass, peaked at 2.2 standard deviations. So in other words, Michigan-Huron model was with 3 feet above the long-term average, as well as the equivalent deviation on Lake Superior was approximately 2 standard deviations or above the notable fault. And during that entire period of time, there was no attempt whatsoever to pull any water back on Superior to Earth, to the tertiary drawing break. So how effective was it? In my opinion, not so effective. So, my first bullet third is to summarize what I said. It will make matters a little bit more confusing. In November of 2020, the Lake Superior Water Control accounts that the Canadian powered generators of the St. Mary's River were going to be going down to maintenance. And so that would reduce the amount of outflow from Lake Superior. So they decided to increase the program flow by 20 cubic meters a second. That's all good. That's what happened over the last, over the next 5 years, is the flow was reduced. First by 350, then 360, then 370, then 390, and eventually about 50 cubic meters per second. The total impact on Lake Michigan-Huron is that they dropped by about 4 centimeters or 2 inches. So you say that's not very much, it's not that much, it's 3, but more estimation is a beginning. So that's just on top of the follow of lake balance and and all that. But I'm just giving you some examples of issues with government agencies and how we get along with achieving certain goals. So I'm going to now go on to the environment area of the recent with predictions. And our Dr. Frank Sable that started the branding cannabis, we working on this for 5 years. The results were presented in April of 2022. I also want to point out that Ron Mears and me talking about the same topic, so I currently simplified my slides to carry along a little bit faster. So I'm just going to present a couple of slides. This is from the report showing Lake Superior that are imposed on that graph. Two lines, the Lake high, one or more Lake Superior is 183.88 meters. People able to exceed that so far. For the low level is 182.7. You can see the predictions exceed the upper limit in a lot. And overall, the level. The different colors used in this study, the blue line and the red, the pan lines, blue and red, both increasing slightly. The blue line represents basically what would happen in the climate modeling if we move to a level. Average temperatures didn't increase by 2.6 degrees, as opposed to 1.5 degrees between the ideal situation. The red model is business as usual, it did not. So that's significant to do with. Just to make a few comments where you got to go. Friend lights, there are many valleys which exceed 183. We don't know what the study did with the issue that Meyer 2012 has a so-called criteria A, which says that if we get to the maximum limit, we will increase the outflow to the absolute maximum allowed. We don't know what the study did with that condition or did anything like. Moving on to the Michigan-Huron, you can see first of all that the range has been, the rate in Michigan-Huron was divided. The upper limit, which I've drawn there, 177.49, that was established in 1986. Now, I remember I had a sailboat on Jordan Bay in 1986, and to get to our boat, they had put extensions over docks that were about 4 feet high on top of the docks, so they actually get to the boat. It was an incredible experience during 1986. The lower level was established in 1964 and just about that in 2013. Now you can see that the predictions, there are predictions below what everything doing, that the Environment Canada study shows, and there are thousands of predictions above the upper lake. And I think Robbie misstatement in some of those issues. So just a few main points. So there were many valleys in see the high level. In particularly the Peelby's suggestion that we're going to have by perhaps 2040, exceeding the 86 high level by about a foot or so. And what should that mean? The IDC, based upon the 1983 global weapons study, that's figured it all out. First of all, to take care of the extra high wall swooshy breathability, the inflow in initial inflow that I permeate with that from all matching the bill people and go saying to you severity. We should be improving the flag 2012 level balancing algorithm, which doesn't appear to be all right effective, to be able to mitigate some of the highest water levels of this harmonious spinning ever, and also installing ice booms on the St. Clair River to improve the outflow during winter months and to be able to get the water levels down near going down. And also, although this is highly unlikely, temporary increases to the outflow at the Chicago diversion, even though the U.S. Supreme Court has limited it to 91 millimeters a second. Those are things that can be considered for extremely high water volumes on Michigan-Huron. Now, on the lower upper side, predictions are that we'll have one levels below 475.57. Looks like possibly, according to these numbers, something in the order of 3.5 feet lower than the sea. But we truly will be able to walk to some of the islands. Turtles right there and off, I'm not sure. With the inland channel would be shut down. To say nothing of ships are going to do what hydrocarbon is letting them use. Anyway, by Wolf, passed on about the sheath. Now, in the meantime, the IDC did recommend flexible structures in the St. River. As mentioned earlier, but nothing was happening. The Netherlands had not responded to the ITC's recommendation to look down into the cabinet, nor the U.S. steps in and you guys. In some of the work for illegal bill, all considered work to be done to mitigate low water levels on making the ship enjoy. How do you hold water back? Power turbines were suggested, but if you go with power turbines, you also have to shut down the shipping channel, because those two things are really quite incompatible. So we came up with with some hydrofoil gate design, then for the fires in the room, the basic idea is soil, good soil, airport, layer placed in the lower position. The vertical pressure is excluding the road, and it's in on high water levels is negligible to non-existing. Now we have here, you raise the foil to the vertical position and the deck position for tilted screening high. Then it is possible to hold back 71 rate. Is it complicated? Not very complicated. Element was the when you deploy them and when you dedeploy them. How do you define robot loans? How do you define our. But we presented the results of the first pump, and it's a bombing study to the IUC back in 2022, very high and presented that to both Ottawa and Washington Senate. So in conclusion, the study predicts that basically water levels will be trending upwards and that the range will increase in variability. We already have the highest water level range of all the Great Lakes, and we've had an incredible variability given between 2000 and the lower period then as the high water period, but just built through. And anyway, I'll read about the studies. So the recommendation, the 2030 low water predictions make an incredible urgent, but the non-desired factor will stretch you to safe to the road, so that we can handle the experiment in man's capacity. Because we do it, we treat an issue of hydraulic model. At the same time, we can test out these ideas and see of how effective it's indeed. Take me to place. Oh,